Hyundai here live at Blizzard. I'm with Corey Stockton, lead content designer for World of Warcraft. We're in the museum. Many epic pictures of Deathwing to surround us during this little chat. So as we get closer to patch, we started seeing some of the pre-release events. So we've had like phase 1 of the Cultists, and right now, like the last time I was online, Orgrimmar was on fire, just like permanently. Do we have more to look forward to going in before the actual Shattering itself, or can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, phase 4 actually just started, which is the concept of the bosses that is happening. So you've seen the elementals invading all over Azeroth. Now they've started to get into the cities. This final phase is where the cities start to get overrun by the elementals completely. And what the players have to do is kill them all a certain number within a certain amount of time. Doing that opens portals, which then allow players to go in and fight against 4 different unique raid bosses that were made just for the world event. And those raid bosses actually drop super high level loot, the same level that we drop in Heroic Ice Crown. So it's a chance for a lot of players that might have never got to see loot that's that epic and that good, but they'll actually get to get it here at the end right before we launch Cataclysm. And you're escorted by Horde and Alliance heroes. So when you get in there, it really feels like an experience that goes along with the whole launch event.
Earlier this week, we also saw an official preview of Tolbarad, effectively the new Winter Grasp. And there's also going to be a quest hub attached to that.
The inspiration for that definitely came from Isle of Quel'Danas. We really liked that concept of having a large amount of daily quests in one area, which really generated a lot of PvP. So we wanted to do that, but we also wanted to make those quests a little bit more accessible to more people. So we've actually created a huge number of quests. I think there's something like 27 different quests there, but only 6 are available every day, and they randomize individually based on different areas within the island. So what you're going to see is it's going to take a while to actually play through every quest, so it'll feel like a new experience for quite a while. We've also got Reputation there. We've got these little faction tokens that you earn for turning in the quests. There's some really nice rewards there. You can get epic raid level trinkets. We've got mounts. We've got pets. Yeah, and they're custom built just for that. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. Players are going to get something, you know, maybe that next level up above what we saw originally with Quel'Danas, but also bringing in something new with a little bit more flavor. So you've got kind of 2 islands that form Tolbarad. There's the Peninsula Island, which has the quest content, and then there's the main island of Tolbarad, where the actual world PvP game takes place. That runs every 2.5 hours. The winner then gains access to Buried and Hold, which is the raid. And you know, the plan is to do something very similar to what we did there with Archivon, where we're going to update that every patch with a new boss.
As far as Tolbarad itself, like it was destroyed in the Second War, and then the Kil'Torres took over, and now it's supposed to be some sort of magical prison. Is it going to feel sort of like Violet Hold in there? Or?
Well, historically, the prison aspect is definitely something we wanted to keep going with. So we've actually got micros on the island, on the main island that open up, and part of the quest that you get will take place in these prisons down below.
Oh, cool.
There's demons and ghosts and all kinds of things that were just left in there and never kind of dealt with. So when Alliance or Horde take the island, part of the questing is to go down there and clear those out. But from a history standpoint, we just thought Tolbarad, it was an important point in history. It was a place that some players have heard of, so it wasn't completely foreign. But it was also a place that didn't have a lot written about it, so it gave us a little bit of freedom to kind of come up with some new lore and come up with the ideas of why are the Alliance and Horde fighting over this place. Essentially, it's kind of like a central location. The Horde can use it as a great place to attack the Alliance, because Stormwind, Ironforge are really close. But on the Alliance side, they can use it to try to retake Gilneas, which has now been taken over by the Forsaken. So from a story perspective, it feels like you're fighting for a reason.
We're getting rid of tenacity, right? And so now it's going to be balanced, you know, one Horde to one Alliance. Is there any worry in terms of like, there's been some of the unbalanced servers where like Horde dominates. Is it going to be difficult for people on the other end of that to get into those, or?
Well, what we've done with the 1v1, basically it makes it so another player can't join until the numbers are even, or within 1 on each side. And so we made sure that the gameplay that we put here can actually be done by a really small number of players. Unlike Wintergrasp, where generally you wouldn't imagine 10 people being able to win Wintergrasp because of all the things you have to do, the gameplay here is a lot simpler. It's basically just defend and capture, so it's pretty easy. Even if you had, say, 5 players, literally, you could capture the 3 points and win.
What if there's 80 Horde players ready to go and maybe like 10 Alliances? That leaves 70 Horde players sort of just waiting for that next queue then?
It does, and that's part of the reason why we put the daily stuff there. And the other thing is that we've added the rated battlegrounds. But what's nice is that you can be in 2 queues at one time. So you can still be in the queue for Tolbarad, decide you want to play a rated battleground, go off and do that. And players are always kind of joining and leaving in any of the open world PvP. So our hope is that, you know, they'll have other things to do during that time, so they won't feel like they're just waiting around to get into the game.
Are there any other plans in terms of reinforcing world PvP? I know a lot of people are looking forward to it because it's return to the home cities and things like that. Do you have future plans to sort of reinforce that?
We've definitely done some things with the home cities to make sure that world PvP still exists. One of the things we wanted to do when we made them available to flying is make sure that a city could still be attacked, but that it wasn't a completely all flying attack. So one of the things you're going to see in Stormwind and Orgrimmar is we put in some new flying guards. And all the guards that are on the ground now actually have ranged abilities. So for example, there's these archers that are in Stormwind that shoot flaming arrows, basically at opposing faction that comes over and they instantly dismount players.
Can you talk about the number of raids that will be available at Catacl launch?
Yeah, there's going to be 4 in total. And so the way we're doing the raids is we've decided to do smaller raids, but do more of them. So that way players have a little bit more bite-sized chunks of what they're working with. Right. So we start out with Blackwing Descent, which is a 6-boss raid. You go from there. Then you go to Throne of the Four Winds, which is 2 bosses, and then you finish in the Bastion of Twilight, which is 5. So you've got those 3, and then you've got Baradin Hold, which has its own individual raid boss based off of winning Tolbarad.
Sort of the choice between 10 or 25 man, and a lot of guilds sort of weighing that option. Do you feel like it is going to be an equal challenge between them, or is there just some things that are like inherent to 25 that will always exist, and 10 the same way? Can you bounce around that?
Our goal is to make sure that 10 and 25 feel as balanced against each other as possible. Now, granted, there are some things that we're not going to be able to solve by the fact that just when you lose someone in a 10-player raid, it's harder to deal with than losing one person in a 25-player raid. And so the way we try to deal with that is by making sure that the fights are individual for 10 and 25. Obviously, the fights have to be tuned individually to those different numbers of players, and we're just trying to take more extra care to make sure that those fights really feel balanced. And now you're going to see that across all the raid fights, but the place it's really going to manifest is in the heroics. Because it's really important that heroic 10-player and 25-player feel very similar, because of the loot that you're getting is the same across both. And so you want to make sure that that challenge is the same in the 10-player as it is in the 25 and vice versa.
With that shared loot table, does that mean we can look forward to maybe more unique drops? The way that some people are like, oh, you get to Arthas and there's all these lore items, but we've got these like sort of lighter versions scattered throughout with the same models. Will that open that opportunity?
It definitely will, because it means that we'll have a larger selection of loot to spread out over a smaller number of fights. Since that loot is split between 2, it doesn't mean we have to make, where you take one item, maybe change the color, and have it have a new name. Here we're able to take a smaller number of items and still make them feel like uniques. I think we still feel like we would like to get more items that feel unique for the players. It's something that we always want. We're always looking to get more unique items that have lore on them. But I really think that people are going to see a step up from what they saw in Northrend specifically. So the Shattering is the last patch that we're having before Cataclysm actually launches on December 7th. And what the Shattering is going to do is basically change the world forever. So that's that final point where we finally see everything happen. All the world has actually changed. Deathwing has come out, and the world isn't changed forever. And the big thing for that is that the players get all their new quests across the world. They'll be able to start right away. It unlocks all the new race class combinations. Everything except Goblin and Worgen. Those are on launch day. But anything else, players will be able to play right there that day. So if someone wanted to play Human Hunter or, the Tauren Paladin, which people are always talking about, they can go ahead and do that right away. So there's a lot of things that are happening right there that players are going to get to experience. And what's great about it is that it's available for everyone. The patch applies to everyone, no matter whether they've already bought Cataclysm or not. So it gives us a little bit of a chance to see the effect that it's having on the world. So it's nice that we get a little bit of time from the launch of that until when we launch Cataclysm on December 7th. But I think it's really important that that transition is smooth for the players. We want to make it feel like it's not necessarily a patch and a lot of data, but that you just logged your character out and came back, and this change actually happened to this persistent world that players have been playing in for so long.
Right. Without logging in and being in a pit of lava,
exactly in a spot where we might have taken all the terrain away and now they just fall.
Right. Well, very excited. Looking forward to it. Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.